Welcome back, everybody. We're live on air. We have our reporter in the field, Mr. Huntingford, coming all the way from Ignite 2024. Chris, how's it there?
So what I feel like we can summarize this week as the four of us have worked like dogs while Chris has partied like it's 2019.
Exactly.
I'm sure it's been hectic for him, though.
I love when you say been. I have been.
Nice.
Do you guys think that's because Chris never went to bed?
It's possible. Well, let's just check Chris's expense app to see when Chris stopped buying alcohol last night.
So there were a lot of announcements this week, of course, at Ignite.
Yeah.
Anything stand out for anybody?
Agents.
A lot of AI sessions, which is like shocking, isn't it? Over 200 AI sessions at Ignite.
Heck of a lot, right?
And contact center, the emphasis on IVR, etc. at the moment has been pretty impressive. I mean, I must admit, actually, most of the news I've missed, and I think Anna and Andrew may be in the same boat, because Anna and Andrew have been, and I have been hanging out with each other this week, almost every day doing work.
Will, Anna, and I actually were all co-located and did actual work together this week, which was fun, actually.
I loved it. Actually, I really did like it.
It was so good, just going back to basics and creating, a new project that we believe in so much. And once again, seeing the experience of doing projects upon projects upon projects. And yeah.
And also, do you know what, actually? It's one thing that at senior layer, and then as you go higher and higher, you get quite removed, and people, almost, I don't think it's a brag, but people do say, oh, I haven't done a workshop for years and stuff like that. I go, well, then how are you sharpening your tools? And I loved it. I was in a room with Anna today, and I love working with Anna. I love working with Andrew, but he wasn't there today. And I got to get out a whiteboard, just get a pen onto a whiteboard, drawing out architecture and discussing and debate. You can't beat that. That's why you got to exactly where you wanted to be and where you are in your career, because you loved doing the workshops, you loved doing the basics, and you loved engaging and debating over, in this case, tech. And I just loved it. And getting to do it with Andrew and Anna, who have been friends of mine for years, but now actually getting to work with them and realize actually Andrew is as good as he seems on paper. Well, it was really good. Obviously, I've worked with Anna for a long time. Well, some people look great on paper, but are shocking when you engage with them. But in this case, I actually said this to Andrew when he was in a room on his own with me.
He did. So we were in the room, just the two of us. We were looking at this massive data model that I had put together, and Will sort of pulls me close, and I don't know what's about to happen, and he says, Andrew, some people that you expect to know what they're talking about end up being shit. And I thought it was about to be followed by, and you're one of them.
No, I was impressed. And he's we're looking at a data model. He's designed it so elegantly with best practices front of mind. And I was looking at this particular piece of it, which we know famously, even Microsoft have had scalability issues around in the past. Yes. And Andrew, it was just fantastic. And I said, mate, I was always nervous working with friends that might be good, and it turned out to be awful. I was like, and in this case, I'm very happy because I knew you were going to be great, and you are.
Awesome.
Thanks, man.
No, but it's really cool because we read all of the new capabilities and the ideas and and everything else, and how do we get started with AI and what sort of governance we need to put in place, what are the processes, how do we design, how do we build a practice. But we mustn't forget that once upon a time we used to build databases, and that's valuable. That's really valuable.
It's so crucial. Yeah.
This thing, and I promise we'll get back to Ignite. I anticipated the question and made a list of things that were announced this week that I am excited about. However,
well done, sir. Well done.
It was really one of my favorite technical tasks to do is data modeling, and I'm not talking about little models, but really big, large scale. Data models. I learned everything I know about data modeling from Dave Milton, who's the technical
Wow.
director for the Microsoft Global Black Belts, now for the Western Hemisphere, for the Americas, and back in the day, and this thing that we're all working on together has been so much fun because I've gotten to I've gotten to go do this thing that I actually find really enjoyable. It's absolutely massive, and it's in safe hands, with Anna taking the lead from here, I think.
Oh, I think it's with actually the implementation team, who are really, really amazing and wonderful. And that's just so great. As you can tell, we're really passionate about this project because of it's also because of the cause. It's like a feel-good humanitarian project that we're really, really into. It's like the sort of thing that you've always dreamt to be able to do, and you never thought you could, and now we have this opportunity. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
All right, so the love fest between the three of us is over, Mark. We're sorry.
Yeah.
We're sorry.
Andrew,
We're sorry.
It's just getting going, mate. Don't you worry.
I was letting you guys go for it. The term circle jerk came to mind, but
so
again, this is a podcast. Mark.
What's your favorite news, Mark, from Ignite? What do you think is most exciting?
About what the announcements are this week? Well, Andrew has a list. Andrew, what's on your list?
All right. So
well deflected. Yeah.
Mark couldn't get the book of news to open. Is that what I'm hearing?
Come on, quickly. 2 truths and a lie.
No, I didn't even attempt. As Anna was trying to get the book of news open, I haven't even touched the book of news.
I have. It's open right now, so I can check. I can fact check to see whether your list is correct.
So here are the 5 things in no particular order that I would say I'm going to hold off on whether I'm excited, but I am intrigued by. Okay, so one of them is Fabric databases. Actual transactional databases built with Azure SQL that you can now quickly spin up, spin down, build applications on top of in Fabric. So actually, I'll just read them off, and then we can dig into these if we want. So Fabric databases, OneLake catalog, Copilot Studio embedded in Power Apps, which I think is intriguing, like the ability to build. I'll call them mini agents inside of your app, which of course has brought to mind sort of flashbacks from how, Microsoft has never really figured out a clean way to deal with in-app automation, as evidenced by the fact that some of us are still using classic workflows because there's nothing else that can do the job. So that's I think that's interesting. There's also supposedly
you're gonna be like crucified for that.
I'm sure. There's also supposedly deeper RAG capabilities in Copilot Studio, which I think is potentially representative of a broader blurring between Copilot Studio and Azure AI Foundry, formerly known as Azure AI Studio, but there's been a rebrand. We can't have Ignite without a rebrand. And then the final one that has piqued my interest is these managed security and managed operations capabilities in Power Platform coming to the Power Platform Admin Center, I presume. And what I find interesting about that is that it continues to move us further and further away from enterprise management via COE starter kit to actual enterprise management via an actual scalable set of tools. So I think that's interesting as well. Those are my 5. And I'm sure there's others that I've missed, but those are my 5.
Nice. No, very, very good. I think you're on point around the governance piece. That's obviously coming out as part of the Power Platform, particularly on Copilot Studio, and having that level of governance in there. I think a lot of people were in customer land were really wanting that type of control over who's creating what. Also, for the first time, new licensing for Copilot Studio. A lot of people were like, hang on a second, the licensing hadn't changed since when it was called Power Virtual Agents, which was based on number of messages, etc. And now it wasn't just a chatbot tool anymore, but there was kind of no iteration of that. And of course, now there is. You can go for on-demand type licensing. It still raises a thing, you know, organizations, as they start committing to these tools, have kind of got no understanding of how much it's going to cost them in a way. It's almost like there needs to be some type of t-shirt sizing for, well, if you're going to do this, it's going to consume about that, rather than just suck it and see and see how much you clock up on your bill for the month, right? Which can be crazy. The other thing that I thought was interesting as Andrew is laughing.
Suck it and see. I'm sorry. Like, is that a Kiwi phrase?
No,
It's a Kiwi
a common
phrase.
phrase.
Yeah.
No, we use that in the UK all the time, Mark.
You do?
Yeah.
You do?
Suck it and see, it's very common.
Yeah.
I've lived here
I don't
for
even
4
know
years
where
and
it
I've
comes
never
from.
heard someone say that.
Have you not?
Well, you're hanging with the wrong crowds, mate.
common.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
Actually, so Will, an aside. I want to talk about business drinking culture in the United Kingdom. Let's put a pin in that and come back to it after Mark is
Yes.
done.
No, let's not even turn over that rock. No one needs to look under there.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, I think we should turn that rock. I already turned over the classic workflows rock, which I feel like that needs a shout every 6 months or so.
Suck it and see is apparently British English in origin. Yeah.
There you go.
Used to suggest the only way to know something will work or be suitable is to try it. It's a common phrase. Yeah, I tried to figure out who was the first to coin it. Probably Mark Smith.
I could go further in how we could expand on this, but I'm just going to rein it in. And
I mean,
it's a very unique name as well.
I mean, typing that in on Google this late at night was probably my first issue, but luckily it all stayed PG. So.
But talking about drinking culture, I was shocked my first day in London when I moved to London. I was living in the business district. I was living in the city of London, right in the financial district.
Yeah.
And I rock out of my apartment and it's like 10:30 a.m. on a Monday, and
Beautiful.
the bar was people were like right out the door, everyone like going for it. And this is like 10:30 on a Monday morning.
So your apartment was above Leadenhall Market? Is that the idea here?
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't. No, it wasn't. It was over by. What's the big gum cathedral there?
Did you say the big
St. Paul's,
gum
St. Paul's,
cathedral?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I said, what was the big cathedral over there?
Oh, I thought you clicked out and I thought you said the big dumb cathedral.
No.
It's quite commonplace though. It's like I've never really walked past the Weatherspoons that doesn't have a queue before opening, for people going to get their ale and stuff. So it's probably the people out there, the ones that hate Mondays at 10:30. So just join them.
Yeah.
But working in the either in insurance or in, but mostly like around Lloyd's Market, the insurers, brokers, stuff like that. You cannot get a sensible phrase out of anybody after lunch. Like it's a thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you also don't have visibility. Before, but you also don't have visibility of any deals, any no transparency, no data, no nothing. So I would be very curious to see it right now, because when was that, Mark? When you moved to London?
When was it?
Yeah,
2017. I think it was 2017. Yeah. Guess who the first person I had a drink with there was in that area, because they were working in that area.
Who?
Scott Durow.
Scott Durow.
Yeah, he was working at Metro Bank at the time.
Who wasn't working at Metro Bank at the time?
Yeah.
No, but the reason this came up, that I thought of this was that, so yesterday, as we said, there was this team that we had put together, working on this thing together. Anna and Will and I were all there, and it was kind of a mixed team of folks who were based here in the UK and who had come from the US for this for these working sessions. And I was chatting with one of the Americans, not like myself, an American living in Britain, but an American living in the United States. And somehow, it came up, and I said, you will find if you hang out here long enough that Britain has a very different work drinking culture than the United States, right? It's just business gets done, and it's almost like an expectation that there will be drinks after work many days in London that you don't have in the US, because in the US you have to drive somewhere.
That's correct.
Right? Like,
Yeah, gotcha.
I think a lot of that goes back to a
morning.
lack of, right, exactly. I think a lot of that goes back to the lack
business
of
as usual,
transport.
mate.
But when I moved here, it was astonishing to me, right? It was like, why are these people out all the time drinking? As if it's like this expectation that you work in the UK, therefore you will all be drinking together in a posse every night of the week. That was jarring for me when I came here.
It's the only way to get over the weather, really.
Yeah.
It's so true. I thought I didn't want to get out of bed today.
Yeah.
Just like,
one of the
no.
one of the
Ignite.
other things, that came up at Ignite that I thought was interesting. Now that we've taken the pin out of that subject and dealt with it, was Windows 365 Link. Did you see that? Windows 365 Link.
I haven't seen that one. Tell us more.
They reckon it's the first. It looks like an Apple computer. You know, the little square computers that Apple have that are just, you got to plug in a screen, keyboard and stuff. So this here is a little box about the size of 2 packs of fags, and it allows you to plug in your keyboard, mouse, and the whole operating system is running from the cloud. So running from an Azure.
It's like a little Apple.
Yeah.
It is. Sorry, but
it is. It is.
Yeah, it's like a version of the Mac Mini. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Mac Mini. That's the one.
That's right.
They're claiming it's the first one out there where kind of like all the heavy lifting's done in the cloud. So it reminds me of back in the day, right, where you had these things called thin clients.
What, virtual desktop?
This is a dumb terminal.
Yeah. It's a dumb terminal where the back end is Azure rather than your server down the hallway type thing, which is how, mainframes in a lot of organizations used to run in the old days. So it's just a cloud version of that. And you can imagine, right, as in if you watch the video and stuff on it, and warehousing and stuff like that, what a brilliant idea. You can have that little terminal. It does all the work around, scanning, whatever they have to do, but you don't have to have a desktop computer sitting there for folks in the business where you need a computer maybe connected to a printer and can do a bunch of stuff, but the operating system at the end of the day is sitting in Azure.
Yeah, and perfect for companies that just have virtual desktops, aren't they? Just have that as the hardware sitting on the on the desk as well, and that's becoming more and more popular.
Right.
The security, right, would be off the Richter because your security is going to be handled all in Azure, not on device.
Look at us talk about end user compute. Fair play to us.
Yeah. Yes.
The one thing that I liked, I have to admit, I didn't see or read a lot of Ignite, but out of the news that I saw this morning going into work, the one thing that I find super interesting is the little interpreter bot in Teams.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to work real time and translate it into your language. And I don't know, I think there are
your voice. So if you're talking, Anna, and you are speaking to a Japanese person, it still sounds like Anna speaking in Japanese in real time.
But speaking in Japanese, can you imagine how that can break barriers? Because so far there was a barrier to technology, which is the English language, right? No matter what we do, we need to write code in the English language. Even the local platform, it's also in English. But now people who express themselves better in their own language, or rather people who understand better in their own language, have all this set of capabilities that they can surface. And how many of our projects actually fail because of a miscommunication somewhere?
I mean, most projects fail due to that.
Yeah. So here's another term that I heard a lot of, which is shadow AI, just like shadow IT in the past.
Right.
And one of the stats that they presented was 75% of people are already using AI at work. 78% bring their own AI. So in other words, they're using their own
ChatGPT
tools.
and other things,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But which is not sanctioned by, so,
The
the risk
company.
is, of course, they're training models or handing their data off to unsecure environments, but people are people, right? And they're like, I just got to get a job done. And they're not like concerned so much about the PDF, that they're handing up or the Word document, Excel, etc., might contain information that is proprietary to that organization that they wouldn't want handed up to some random servers, so you can do your AI processing on it.
I think that's so interesting because today I was talking to a friend, and our friend Chris, right? He's really into AI security and AI governance, and how do we make a rule and how do we package it all in a box and ship it to people so that they can do this thing properly. We all know that he's like super interested in that. We were talking about companies who want to deliver an AI product, and one needs to come with that. Like, what are the safety policies? What's, DSP in a box, right? Like
Digital safety board in a box.
Exactly. It's interesting that you say that, Mark, because today when we were talking, I was like, okay, cool, with the products that this company is, presumably producing and shipping to a customer. But what about all of the end result of AI that people are using like every day and that goes unchecked?
Yeah.
How about a safety board for that? Exactly with what you're saying, shadow AI.
Here's the thing, and this is where I think there's a lot for us to do. And basically this is a survey of 4,000 companies done by Work Trends Index Annual Report 2024, Microsoft and LinkedIn. 60% of organizations say their organization lacks a plan and vision to implement AI. 60%. That is a crazy number when it comes to like your strategy, your vision,
Really?
And what you're going to do.
But does it surprise us? Because actually, we could probably wrap that number around data, around low code, around cloud rationalization, around stuff that's been around for much longer than generative AI. Because when we talk about AI, we're talking about generative AI at the moment, aren't we? So
yes, of course.
Plug for the AI strategy framework. Right. This is your shortcut. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
And Cloud Lighthouse will do the thing for you, with you. Actually, I've been running around doing this, helping several big organizations build theirs. And, a couple of things that have come out that I've seen here is that, one, it's obviously really hard, right? So just having the strategy, the AI strategy framework is not enough. It needs to be, you need a framework like that in the hands of someone who is actually able to help you, get the organization on that path. So that's one. Another point that I see here is that it's as with any strategy, it's not just about building the strategy. It is also about having the wherewithal and the organizational juice to execute that strategy. So I would say that, I'm personally working with several organizations, a number of organizations that are building that AI strategy. And I kind of finish the strategy crafting. And I think to myself, in at least half the cases, there is no way that this organization is going to have the wherewithal to actually do this, like to actually get this done. And that is not about a lack of talent or knowledge. That is a lack of will. In not William, a lack of willpower.
No, I've loud and clear, Andrew.
The third point, and this came up in some very recent work that I was doing with one of these organizations, and I want to go back to the shadow AI, right? Mm-hmm. Is that the shadow AI phenomenon in this particular organization is rampant. And, I think that organizations are going to take, just as they always have with shadow IT, they're going to take one of two approaches here, either to try to lock it down or to do better, right? And I think that I cannot say this strongly enough that if you are a CIO, or even if you're a C-level leader, or a leader that's not in technology, that's not in the IT space, locking it down cannot be the answer here, because locking it down equals you will likely fail as an organization over the next 5 years or so, because you won't be competitive. So the answer has to be do better, so that your users don't have to turn to shadow AI.
Yeah.
But I think many of them won't.
Yeah.
Many of them won't.
Well, it's a no-brainer, right? As in, I can understand why shadow AI has taken off. Like, I'll get somebody send a screenshot which has text in it, and in a heartbeat, I just upload that and say, export that as text, right? And so,
Yeah.
I was going to say, why do we use any tools? It's an era of convenience we live in. People want things to be convenient. Sorry, Mark, the caffeine's kicked in from the cola, and I've just rocketed off.
People want things to be convenient, but we also, like, I do feel that we are stepping into the trap of luxury of AI, if you will. Just by using unauthorized tools or whatever, spitting out results and using them in your organization doesn't make you smarter. Like, without having these sort of governance steps or like a framework in place as an organization to recognize these behaviors, you're only going to be effective for like 5 minutes, and then you're going to fail because you're going to make mistakes, right? So today I was at Curve's office for us to work on this project, and I saw a friend of mine who happens to work in the same building. And I went to research a little bit about her company where she works, and I knew that they do AI. But what they do is actually, do you know what they do? They use artificial intelligence solutions and generative AI to optimize code at large scale, like data science optimization. That's pretty cool.
Love that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So we're starting to see really amazing tools to actually use AI in a structured way. For real results.
Yeah, I still think that this is, I mean, obviously really innovative technologies are always put to work by technologists, right? So, but I think that some of the most impressive uses of AI that we've seen to date have a lot to do with interpreting data at scale, right? Or optimizing code at scale, right? I mean, and I don't know if this is still the case, but for a long time, GitHub Copilot was by far the most successful of the Copilot. So that's interesting what they're doing. Yeah.
I think that the big thing for GitHub Copilot is that one of the complaints about it is it only used OpenAI models, and one of the other new features is now you can select from a range of AI models, from different parties.
I believe that's a new feature in Copilot Studio as well. As in Foundry particularly, a lot as a feature. And the other thing in AI Foundry that I think is really important in the diagram that came out is the two-way integration between that and AI Studio. So it's going to allow this kind of, framework for those that want to, WYSIWYG build AI solutions using Copilot Studio to be able to have that extend then into Azure AI Foundry and really go and, let's say, bring in a tailored piece of AI work that has been done by your pro dev team and consume that, and vice versa. So it's kind of like, dare I say it, and I hate the word, but we've had it for some time, which is this no cliffs type experience right the way through from Copilot M365, which I don't know if you saw the branding of that has changed as well. So your SaaS solution through to your tailored solution with Copilot Studio through to your advanced developer solutions in Foundry. I think it's Microsoft are constructing a very robust end-to-end story. Can we be clear on the rebranding that you just mentioned so that everyone listening at home can keep up with this? What is specifically that rebranding, Mark?
So the Copilot that we would typically, bought for 30 US a month inside your organization. That there is Copilot M365.
Copilot M365, not Copilot for M365.
Nope. So it has a Copilot logo with the, in beautiful black font, M365 branded on it now.
Why
And
just
it
Copilot
basically
365?
it covers all the stuff that would be included in your M365 subscription from a Copilot perspective.
I was just going to say, just as a little aside, to this day, I was just talking to someone about this recently, that the 365 or the 365 branding still is dumb to me, right? Because and I remember when it came out, right? My first thought was
the fact that we have New Zealand 365.
No, it's true, right? Hear me out on this.
Of course.
So Mark did not come up with the branding. Mark is simply jumped on the bandwagon of the branding. And here's my issue with it, right? I always thought it should have been Microsoft 360 or Dynamics 360 because were people sitting around wondering if Microsoft 365 worked on Sundays? Like, did we need to be reassured that it worked every day of the year? Like, it just always felt to me like this was like the branding was conveying a message that did not need to be conveyed because it was the answer to a question nobody was asking. Microsoft Office does not celebrate the Sabbath, nor does it nor observe the Sabbath or celebrate holidays. Just to be clear, right? It works every day, and you have now been reminded via this apparently permanent branding. End of rant. I'm sorry. Back to you. NZ360 guy.
NZ365 guy. Yeah. Very good. Very good. It's
I'm gonna get in so much trouble after this episode.
No, I don't think it's interesting that, that it wasn't 360, 360 degree view, all around. There's like lots of metaphors that would play off that. But yeah. Who knows where it came from? I just was surprised when they dropped the Office 365 and came out with M365 but Microsoft's a master of keep rebranding, right? Keep changing.
It's just all year round productivity, Mark. That's what it means.
It works every day, just like Mark.
Yeah, not so much. Well, that kind of wraps us for this session of Ignite. Go check out the Ignite website. You can go and watch my stuff on playback. I will throw to Will to kind of wrap us up.
I've been so impressed that we tried to keep a golden thread going throughout all this with Ignite, and we went off on many sort of tangents and went from British drinking business culture all the way to other things. I think it's just been fantastic. So for one, I'm looking forward to going off and digesting a bit more of that big book of news and engaging in the comments with anyone that's listening to this podcast. So have a great day and speak soon.